New figures suggest there's been a big rise in cases of identity theft in the past year, up by a third. Criminals are increasingly turning to the internet to buy and sell personal data, which can be used to open bank accounts, get credit cards and commit fraud in other people's names. Angus Crawford investigates how one 80-year-old woman fell victim to the fraudsters.
If you're a gardener, you would go to a gardening forum, ask about flowers. This is a fraud forum and people are asking about credit cards.
In the darkest parts of the net, behind secret passwords, hidden forums where criminals buy and sell your personal data.
Yep, it's a marketplace. People are buying, selling, giving away things, exchanging tips.
This online investigator says credit cards and passports, emails and passwords, anything and everything is up for sale. You can buy a credit card with date of birth for only about £5.
That's correct, yeah.
And that's going to be a real credit card that will work.
It will work, yeah.
And someone, the real owner, will be a victim. They will lose money.
Sadly, yes.
One of the identities being bought and sold by criminals online belongs to an 80-year-old woman who lives in this estate in Wales. Apparently, she has an H&M account and someone is using it to buy clothes.
I keep a check on the bank all the time.
Barbara Evans and her husband have never even heard of H&M. So what's going on?
She's trying to fiddle it from Barbara's account.
Yeah, it seems the criminals used a stolen passport to open a credit account in Barbara's name. They then changed the delivery address. Goods are bought using her identity, but sent to a flat in London. Now, you don't live in a tower block in South East London, do you? Never have, never will.
No, never would, no.
OK. And this is where the fraudsters say Barbara now lives. So we decided to send her a parcel ourselves. This man confirms that she does live here.
Horrible day, hiya. So, it's for Barbara Evans. Right, so Barbara Evans lives in 28? Yeah. OK, well, there you go. Can I just give you that
We don't
sign?
know if this is the person who's been shopping online in Barbara's name, but he does accept our parcel.
Thank you very much.
And Barbara's not alone. New figures show that in the first 3 months of 2014, more than 24,000 people were victims of ID theft. In the same period this year, that had gone up to more than 32,000, a rise of 31% in just a year. But the numbers don't tell the full story of the anguish behind the statistics.
You're going to be spending an awful lot of time trying to get the money back. You may still be liable for it, and there have been many cases where people have had to pay bills even though it's had nothing to do with them in the first place. And that is traumatic. We tend to ignore it, but I look at it as though if you were robbed and your house was burgled, the mental anguish you go through is quite severe. I don't believe this is any different.
But what about the man who signed for the parcel addressed to Barbara Evans? He denies having any involvement.
I don't know anybody that's Barbara. I don't know anything about that.
And the truth is, we'll probably never know who stole the identity of a frail old woman to line their own pockets.
Have you got something to say about that?
Angus Crawford, BBC News.
Well, we saw Darren Innes in Angus's report. He's from C6 Intelligence, and he's alongside me now. I mean, you are monitoring this, and the numbers have gone up significantly, haven't they, per day?
Yeah, over the last 12 months, right, when we started monitoring it, we were finding around 30,000 identities a day that were up for sale.
Internationally?
Internationally. We're now finding around 300,000. In the UK alone, there are over 5 million identities currently up for sale.
And why is this? Is it because the method of actually discovering this is easier now, or what?
Well, I think the reason for it is that there have been more and more corporate hacks over the last few years. Criminals have been building up the quality of the data that they've got and are only releasing it when they believe it's really effective to commit fraud.
And is there always a human failure in this chain, or is it through hacking and doing things just via computers?
Well, hacking is a start to it, or filling in on a phishing email or whatever. But if you're using your same password on multiple sites, once they've got your data from one, that allows them to gain access from others if you're using the same. So it's a mixture of technology and human error.
Okay, but the human error is that there is physically someone there working for a company selling on this information.
There can be individuals that are doing that, absolutely.
Okay, so apart from changing our passwords, what else do we need to do?
We need to be aware of the sites that we've been on. We need to avoid storing credit card data on those sites. And I know it's a pain to keep completing your credit card data, but it's good practice to do that. So things like that are always going to be helpful. And
using credit cards rather than debit cards, because I suppose a lot of us are put off by the fact that you've got to pay, haven't you, a credit card charge rather than a debit card, using a debit card which is free.
But the belief is there's added security in that.
And is there genuinely on that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and the cases that you have discovered, have you managed to help these people recoup their losses, or are there lots of people who never get this money back?
There's an awful lot of people that never get their money back. Our organisation is about preventing that fraud. So if you go onto our website, hasmyidentitybeenstolen.com, you can identify if your details have been up for sale in the past, change them now and stop the criminal ever getting a chance to use them. That's what we're about, as opposed to recouping the losses later.
And do you pass on all of this to the police as well?
We pass on all the credit card data we find absolutely to the police as soon as possible, because credit card data tends to be used very quickly. Yeah. So the quicker we can pass it to the police, the quicker they can pass it out to the relevant agencies.
And what sort of prosecutions? I mean, are there lots of prosecutions on this, or is this still an area where the police can get away with it?
It's a very difficult area to track down and prosecute individuals. It's cross-border, first and foremost, so the cost of chasing down £1,000 fine can be, or £1,000 fraud can be quite significant. And you can commit this fraud in South Vietnam and defraud someone in London. We can't track those people down easily.
All right, okay, Darren, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us.